are some of the most funnest little boats you can have. Marvelous design for a family cruising boat. Would be a reasonably priced entree for them into the sport of sailing. Hi there, this is Captain Q and my old sailing buddy Randy. Join us as we travel hither and yon as we look for some great deals on classic boats and learn a little with each one.
Captain?
Randy, I hear you. Where are you?
Hey, over here.
Oh, hey, come on up, buddy. Check this out. These are some of the most funnest little boats you can have. There's so many fun little boats, really, aren't there? We've talked about Sunfish and Rose 19s and things, but this is a Beetle cat. It was first designed and invented by a man named Beetle, and they've been built the same way for years out of wood. I think there might be a fiberglass model, but anyway, this is a real wooden one that we've just found today at the FL Tripp and Sons Boatyard in Westport, Massachusetts. We're going to investigate a boat that is part of the Luhrs family. Henry Luhrs was a German immigrant who came to this country and set up a chandlery, and he provided all the stuff that trading ships needed to go out and go around the world and trade their goods. And then his son and grandson stayed in that industry in New Jersey area. And there they spent a lot of time with Henry, his grandson, building both recreational boats and commercial fishing boats. They ended up building about 1,000 boats. That was the Luhrs power boat system. Now, in the meantime, around 1973, Warren Luhrs left and moved down to Alachua, Florida. And the first boat he built was a 25-footer. It was very popular, and if you see the line drawings of it right now, you might almost think it came from a CNC line of early boats. Now, in the meantime, Warren decided he wanted to go racing, so he built this boat called Thursday's Child. He wanted to build a boat that would take him from New York to San Francisco and beat the record of Flying Cloud, a massive, huge ship from the turn of the century. This was great, but it did take a toll on the company. The business started to slide a little bit until around 1988. He found that he had to step back into the business because the quality was being hampered, and they had customers who just weren't happy. It lasted pretty well till about 2012 when after 5 years of fighting very hard to save the company, they went into bankruptcy, Chapter 11. A gentleman named Marlowe came along and bought out the remains of the company and then reinvented it, calling it Marlowe Hunter Yachts. This is an interesting one today because she's a 40-footer, and it was a popular model, and she's got a pretty nice line to her. The profile looks very nice. Right. So why don't we head on down there right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
While the sun still shines, okay? Here it is. This is the Hunter 40. She was built in 1985, and it was designed by Cortland Steck.
What does it remind you of at first glance?
Well, I have a feeling it might remind somebody of a CNC boat.
Yeah, I could see that. Maybe it's the tow rail?
Possibly the tow rail, which of course CNC sort of invented or brought to light with some of the earlier boats as a way of giving you a place to set up your different sheeting lines and also to bond the deck and the hull together with a cap to it. And it gives you a bit of a tow rail, so it's an all-in-one device. Now, Hunter was known for trying to save the customer some money with their boats, so their boats tended to sell for a little bit less. She has a nice fin keel down here and a spade rudder to it, with a little bit of a skeg on that, and then you'll find that the draft on this is a little bit more than you might normally like to have, but it's about 6.5 feet. They were always concerned a little bit with the performance of the boat. Let's take a look aboard. We'll see if we can get the captain across this. It was closer a few minutes ago. Come on aboard, buddy. This is this is a new world for us. 40-foot boat. Get ready. 13-foot beam.
Oof.
I'm gonna get back in the helmsman seat here.
I see you couldn't afford the whole wheel.
It looks like it, doesn't it? What's going on here? What's with this deal anyway? Let me show you something. You ready?
Oh yeah.
This is pretty cool. Look, it squeaks a little bit, but you put that up there. This piece comes down, and there's another piece on the bottom that does the same thing, and that'll pull up, and you now have a full steering wheel, right?
So what's the advantage of that?
This wheel is kind of in the way, you know. It's not bad now. Actually, you know, I've seen a lot worse. You can't get around. You can get right around this one pretty well, as is. But if you put this down, right, fold that right down, and you fold this guy right up, and you turn the reel sideways. Look at that.
Oh, pretty great.
I mean, you could do a little mambo here. One thing we're going to find out about the Hunters is that where maybe they tried to make the boat price worthy, they also came up with some really interesting innovations. One of their big innovations, and it's not on this boat, they put a big arch here, and they actually had the main sheet run off the top of the arch. Now this boat, this is sort of a stock old style arrangement here, and it's designed though to be run and trimmed from either side of the boat. See, there's two lines come out of there. She's set up to be trimmed two different ways here. You know, whichever way you want to go, trim her in this way or trim it in like on this side. So for your crew convenience.
So what does one side do versus the other? Isn't that just a main sheet?
It all is the main sheet, right, but it just makes it easier from where you're sitting in the cockpit to control the mainsail. Anyway, this is a nice small cockpit, comfortable. I like the seating arrangements here. Let's just take a peek at this for a second. This pops up here. We have another one of our shallow seating arrangements, and I'm going to give you a hint that there's probably a berth under here somewhere. There's also another port light over here as well, and again, that's going to open and give you ventilation in the after cabin here. Let's see what they've done on this side for us. Same thing, right? Pretty convenient. And of course, it's all set up to scupper and drain right out of here. Look at the cleats here now. We have self-tailing winches, but you always need a cleat to back up the self-tailing winch, right? So we've got one right here, and if you were sailing along and you just want to secure the whole rig, you could just come down here and jam that under, over, and around, and be done with it. They've also made accommodation here for, as you suggested, possibly a place to set your bottle of champagne. We thought maybe a Magnum would fit there.
It looks like it's perfect for a Magnum.
Something like that. But actually, in reality, you really want to use another winch, spinnaker gear, and so on. You're all set. Look at the fair lead for the Genoa. This is really heavy gauge stainless. This is brutal. This is not lightly built right here. Engine controls are handy to you down right below this bag. And key start. Further aft, we've got a string of cushions here for the helmsman. This one pops up a little bit, and we can lift this up. And now you can see the hydraulic autopilot and a bilge pump. You see our bilge pump right here, our gusher?
Yep.
Navigationally, we have a Ritchie compass right here in front of our half wheel. And we have Garmin GPS, and there is no radar on board this boat. Here are the controls for the Ray Marine autopilot with your plus minus 1 or 10 degrees. And I also noticed the man is a Bruins fan. This is a good sign. Randy, why don't you take a look at this rig, because this is unusual. Hunter used it with all their boats from about the 1980s, 90s onward. It's called a B&R rig, and what it is they've pre-tensioned the spar, okay, with these diagonals. You can see the diagonals coming up and then going up to the second set of spreaders.
Yep.
And if you look up the length of the mast here, you'll see how the mast is raked aft. They also swept the spreaders aft about 10 to 15 degrees to give it further support. And on this particular boat, they've also got a backstay, which has some adjustment to it. You can see that right behind me. It runs down and it's split into 2 lines. While we're up here, let's take a look just around the deck. Pretty clean working surface here. I can tell right now we're gonna have some good ventilation below decks, right?
Yeah.
We've got 4 opening hatches. We've got a solar vent of some sort. And there are also a couple of skylights right here back by the mast. The deck is a molded in non-skid. Not a very aggressive pattern, but you know, it feels pretty solid underfoot right here. We've got a windlass up here set up for a winch handle. Nice, a massive chain plate arrangement on the bow here. The tow rail, this is a CNC concept, right? The idea being to put all these little holes in there to allow you to move your blocks and adjust your fairleads further back by the cockpit. But what they've done here is they've reversed it. With the CNCs, the tow rail itself would be on the outboard side. When we look at it, it really cleans up the deck. Notice that all the stanchions for the pulpit are outboard, and if you look over at your side or behind you here, look at the stanchion base itself is set up outside the pulpit.
Yeah, no stub toes.
Let's take a look at the anchor locker, line locker here. Okay, big folding hatch, hose line, wash down line, and anchor line, all right up here. I'm heading back aft right now. We're gonna take a shot below. What do you say?
Yeah, let's go check it out.
Come on, follow me on down. Going down now.
Oh, thanks.
Once again, I found the king seat right here. This is very different from a lot of boats we've seen in terms of her layout. They've tried to maximize the living space in here, and they still have put in a tremendous amount of storage. All these lockers have, you know, nice sliders on them, and that's kind of nice. Look down either side of the boat, port and starboard, and you'll see just how much readily accessible storage that's there, that's going to stay in the lockers even in the worst kind of seaway. It's really quite bright down here, actually. This white on these locker doors and the facing and the overhead all help reflect light. The dark cushions are sort of cozy, and it's it's almost a velour sort of thing. And there's freestanding storage above this. We're looking at the compression post here, which is by far and above and away the biggest we've seen so far. The single pole comes down and it's mated right down into the hull. This is a pretty strong triangulated system of support for the spar all around. Some nice interior woodwork here, not very much of it, but that all costs money initially, and maybe not everybody needs solid Hinkley finish throughout their boats. When you're offshore, you're going to sleep here. You're not going to sleep up in the bow necessarily. You'll probably sleep in the aft cabin.
Why is that?
Actually, almost any boat, when it goes off the top of a wave and then comes down, it can sometimes leave somebody sleeping in the forepeak plastered to the overhead, and it's not a great way to sleep. So come back, sleep right here. It's like sleeping in the middle of a teeter-totter for kids. This is the area of least motion. All right, let's take a look at the nav station right now. I'm seated thwartships a little bit for this nav station, and I'm not quite certain why they did it. They've built in some extra storage underneath here, and it doesn't seem to be a convenient place to put your feet under the nav station. Albeit you can sit here and you could read your chart and so forth, but not as comfortably as you might normally. Well, here's part of your wiring panel, all behind a nice pop-down cover, and that's right in front of the chart table. And over here, all your circuit breakers and a repeater, as well as a standard VHF radio. This is a little area I'd like to work on this boat. Now, a lot of navigators do their navigating standing up. They're happy to come down and stand at the table like so and do their work. But we always like to sit down if we can, don't we? Right across the way on the starboard side, we have a good-sized galley. And we have the disappearing refrigerator. Do you see it?
No.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's just gone. Where is it? Is it here, here, there, where? Oh, wait a minute. I see a little latch here. Boink. Look at the size of that. Now, this is basically an ice box setup. So you could load a couple 100 pounds of ice in that. Storage, again, these sliders. I like the way these sliders slide It's very easy to go easily. Look at the plate storage and so forth. We have a 3-burner propane stove, and I think this one, oh my gosh, this one's been used. Look, and then over here in the bulkhead, I haven't seen this before, but we didn't know if this was a microwave or what. This is a little refrigerator, and it's got a little freezer compartment here too, so you can make some ice cubes. Ship's bell parked in the corner. We need that for Coast Guard regulations, don't we?
Yep.
These are 2 really deep sinks, and they're just off the center line. So, oh look, we actually have water on board. We like that. And I think there's a little soap dispenser on the other side, but there's no extra pumps. There's not a lot of extras in the Hunter boats because that just raises the price. They get you a good basic boat that allows you to have some good cruising, fast cruising, and good accommodations. Speaking of which, follow me aft here. This is another one of those good surprises we have with these boats, where on a 40-foot boat, they've tucked a queen-size bed, it's not a bunk, aft here. There's sliding storage on the side. We have a hanging locker on the starboard side, and also we're going to find shelving right here on the port side. They provided 2 avenues to access this cabin, one through the galley and the other one through the after head. So we'll just tiptoe through the after head here for a minute. Now notice we have the head, the flush, the sink, and a nice shower grate below. And it's all in molded fiberglass. It'll be easy to keep clean. Oh, and as I go by here, I gotta notice one thing here. Just look at this. Can you see that all right? This is a chart storage area. Is that cool? Hey, Randy.
Uh-oh.
I'm already up here. Come on up, buddy.
Oh, I thought you were going to be lying down.
No. This is a little tighter V-berth for the old captain right now. We've got the V-berth, truly a V-berth up there. You're going to be touching toes, and that's not the end of the world. And on this side, they've provided storage and more storage underneath these sliders that they have, which are sort of a fiber board, but it's all laminated tight. So Randy, we have a nice little head here. Nothing glamorous, but big enough to do what needs to be done, including a shower and a sink and a place for storing your DOP kit and so forth. And the mirror is okay size. What do you think?
That's a CQ size.
And you just had a good idea about that forepeak, and that's that we've seen berthing in a forepeak with a system called toe over toe, which was on a Choi Lee boat, I think.
Yep.
And that's where you could have the 2 berths overlap up forward. And you would have 2 single berths that would be much more accommodating. Now we have an engine buried under here, and we're not certain, we can't quite get the face of this off, but there's a simple trick to it. It's not simple enough for us. But I noticed that, as the stewardesses would say, on your port side and on your starboard side, there are access lockers to get to specific elements of the engine. Like on that side, what do you see?
I see a raw water strainer and an alternator.
Okay, that's a good start. Now let's take a look on the starboard side and see what pops up. Now tell me what you see here.
Let's see. Oil filter.
Pretty convenient.
Another filter. Would that be oil?
Fuel filter?
No, it's like an oil filter there.
Okay, and this is
another
fuel filter down there. What's the one thing you notice about it?
Yeah, it's real shiny.
Well, the truth of the matter is only 800 hours on this motor.
Oh, wow.
Come on aft here, and we'll get an eyeball on the transmission and some of the exhaust lines. And as you just pointed out, look at the engine mounts here.
Yeah.
They're crispy new. Notice the angle for this. You're not going up a really narrow ladder. This has a nice angle to allow you to climb up easy steps coming up to get on deck. And he's even tilted the steps on the side, so when the boat's heeled, your foot will still be on a flat spot as you pick your way up the ladder. Today we found a 40-foot Hunter. And we hadn't seen one before, had we? And we'd heard a lot about hunters. The interior layout was pretty novel, with squeezing a nice after cabin into the boat. A lot of room below decks. I think this boat would be very interesting and would be a marvelous design for a family cruising boat that had lots of room for family and would be a reasonably priced entree for them into the sport of sailing. So I think we're going to give it a little rating. What do you think?
Yeah, what do you got?
Well, we know it was floating. So we know, first of all, what do we say? If it's floating, it gets a 10.
Yeah.
Right? For design, implementation, and novelty and deck layout, I really like the deck layout on this boat particularly. I'm going to give it another 4, and for the history and for the pricing on the boat, I'm going to give it another 3. We're going to call this a 17 today. What do you say?
All right.
Okay.
Come back down to earth.
I have. Well, we have run into some spectacular boats. The Hunter is a terrific boat, and for some families it will be their spectacular boat.
If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when the next one comes out, please hit the alert bell. And that's not desperate at all. We're having too good a time doing these things, so you can hit the bell or not. Randy, how would I ever find out what's coming up next?
You can follow us on Instagram here,
Yeah.
or Facebook here. We'll have little previews of what's coming up on our next episodes. A little bit early.
That's pretty cool. Previews. You all join me. I'm going to Instagram right now, and I'm going to find out what's coming up next week. Thank you very much.
You know, Instagram's not a place.